Hey guys, let's check it out.
Lens cap.
Hey guys, it's Gunty here from Outdoorphoto, and I'd like to show you this lens in this quick check it out video. This is the Tamron 50 to 400mm VX lens. It is surprisingly satisfying. Obviously, Tamron being a third-party lens, you get these in an E mount and in a Z mount. This is such a lovely, versatile piece of kit. If you're looking for one lens that's going to cover pretty much everything and you want to move around with the greatest of ease, you're going on a trip and you don't have the convenience of carrying around all the massive lenses, or you're tired of it. You want to consolidate. You want to move to one lens that's going to cover as much as possible and still be hand holdable. I mean, it's all great that you've got Sigma 50 to 600mm sport, but that's a massive lens. It's very convenient, it's high quality. This is surprisingly good quality. I have picked up, there were some focusing issues. It's not at the same speed as a 400mm f4.5 as an example. I mean, there's a massive price difference. And with that, you're sitting with a prime. With this, you've got everything from 50mm to 400mm. Your minimum focus distance is at 25 centimeters, which also means that you're going to be able to capture some really cool close-up stuff. If you're shooting portraits, 50mm, perfect. If you're zooming in a little bit, if you're doing events, regardless of what you're doing or what you want to go and photograph, if you want to pick up one lens and have pretty much everything covered, it just lacks that wide angle, that 35 to 24mm. Shoot panos, man. I can't get around it. This was such a pleasure using this lens. Went out, shot some sport with it again, went out to one of the nature reserves nearby, did some birding with it, and I'm truly surprised by the quality in it. It isn't the fastest focusing lens. It's obviously got its limitations, but the advances in terms of what you have in your zoom functionality or the distances that you can reach with this lens is remarkable. You have a lock function so that when you are walking around, this front section, the extending section, doesn't sag out of the lens. So it is convenient. I found that this lens is new and it is still pretty stiff, so I didn't really experience that as an issue. It's obviously got the multifunction or a focus button depending on what you want to set it up for. And even further on that, the customization on this or the firmware updates are now available via a USB-C port built into the lens. Now, if you are familiar with the Tamron lenses and the docking stations, and you used to connect everything up, and then where's the docking station? We've got those docking stations. They're traveling around here in the shop. Nobody really ever knows who has them. And it becomes this massive procedure just to update somebody's lens. Now, thanks to this technology and this little port down here, boom, right there. Get some light on there. There you go. USB-C. And USB-C is still pretty weather resistant. So if you are caught in a spell of rain or drizzle, it's not too much of a problem. It's not something to get too hectically serious about or start crying. You've got your custom functions set up on the lens. You've got your manual focus, autofocus, and then obviously the focus ring, which brings me to the one single issue I have with this lens. And hear me out on this. When I'm holding equipment like this, obviously you rest it in your hand and you've got the camera. Depending on where the focus ring is, it plays a massive role. On the 70 to 200s, specifically the Nikon, and there's recently another third-party 70 to 200 that's been announced and released. There's an issue with the zoom ring being in the front of the lens. On a 70 to 200, you don't want it there. You want it kind of closer to the body where you're holding the entire system quite strong and firmly. But with this, they moved it to the front, which makes sense because it extends. So when you've got it extended, the balance on it is pretty good. That's where you want it. That's where you want your hand. that it's just going to run smoother. My issue is this focusing ring. So I literally missed some shots because I'm out there and I'm turning, and with that, I'm actually turning this focusing ring as well. And depending on what focusing system, yes, you can go and customize it. Yes, you can go and deactivate the ring on your camera menus, depending on which brand you're shooting, Sony or Nikon. But the factor here is it's in an odd place, man. With it being that small, would it have taken up that much real estate putting it in the front? In a lens that will capture pretty much anything and everything. Aperture 4.5 at 50 millimeters, stretches through to an aperture of 6.3 at 400 millimeters. But now we're talking sport, we're talking wildlife, we're talking birding even. I mean, I took it out on the Z6 III, I also took it out on the Z8, and obviously where you lack that little bit of reach sitting in the bird hide or out there in the bush or walking around on a hike. And that was the great thing. When I took this thing on a hike to go and test it out, there wasn't one situation where I actually said, yeah, I'm tired, this thing is big, it's heavy, I was schlepping around a whole backpack with filming gear to try and get these shots. And that kind of got me tired. That got me really thinking I need to spend some more time in the gym and less in the kitchen. But when you're looking at this is phenomenal. This is taking one lens on a trip and getting everything covered. So if you're looking for convenience where that crosses the road with quality, I think this is it. Tamron, 50 to 400 millimeter, 4.5 to 6.3. Focusing speed, really good. Not the best that I've experienced, but coming in at this price point, this versatility, this is really something to consider. I can highly recommend this lens. Guys, get into contact with your go-to guys at outdoorphoto.co.za or come into the shop and come and speak to us. Get your hands on this lens, come and get into contact with me, and we can get this thing on your camera and you can test it out for yourself. Get to outdoorphoto.co.za. Speak to you soon. Cheers.